Hey, friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Going In Raw, the only pro wrestling podcast you need to be listening to right here at youtube.com/Steven Larson. Also on the Twitch, twitch.tv/Steven Larson, every day, Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And, of course, wherever audio podcasts can be found as well. For those watching live, you might have noticed there wasn't any music here. I forgot to put the music on, so it's like a cool graphic, and then you hear Steve here. So it's Friday.
You know, we're
Friday,
a new podcast.
Everybody.
We've only been doing this a month. You know,
that's the thing. Is that
we're all
really
learning
have to
here,
understand? You know, we're still a brand new podcast. We just turned in our resignations for our civil servant jobs, and you know, we got lots of great new friendos here. If you're new, or if you've been here a while, hit that thumbs up and the subscribe button. That's what the YouTube classes I took tell me to tell you, the viewing audience, to do. On this episode, we're going to talk about this week's NXT with the new number one contender to the NXT title. Boom, 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 boom. We've got some news, including what Vince McMahon is up to with WWE Creative. What are the juicy backstage details on Vince McMahon running creative? And then we're also going to talk, as the thumbnail says, about CM Punk. In fact, I know it says it in the script to do it differently. You want to do the CM Punk stuff first, because he's exclusively the thumbnail, because this is kind of interesting stuff, Lars.
it is. There's a lot to digest here in this info here. So let's rewind to yesterday, because shortly after we wrapped our Dynamite recap yesterday, Fightful Select had a report with the latest on CM Punk's AEW return. So just the day prior, Wednesday, they had a report saying that Punk wanted to come back to AEW and was interested, willing to work with the Elite if he were to come back. So this was a bit of a follow-up. According to Fightful, sources told them that the, quote, working plan as of right now is for Punk to return on the June 21st edition of Dynamite in Chicago, something we had speculated on yesterday. Sources also indicate that Punk was pursuing meetings with both the Elite and Chris Jericho in hopes of working with them upon his return. Fightful also reports that AEW's upcoming primetime Saturday show could feature, quote, a bit of a soft roster split to accommodate the preferences of talent who want to stay separate of their particular situation. Now, before we get to Meltzer's bit about this in the newsletter, again, there's a lot to get through here. So we talked at length about CM Punk coming back on Friendo Club Wrestling on Wednesday, when Fightful had the initial story about him, communicating to AEW that he wanted to return, and his willingness to work with the Elite. Now, as far as him pursuing some sort of meetings, you would hope and assume to try to work things out. Punk, the Elite, Punk, Chris Jericho, with hopes that everybody could patch things up and work together. I mean, I guess of the two parties here, Jericho or the Elite, maybe the most likely mending offenses, maybe with Jericho. I don't know. I mean, just yesterday, or maybe it was even today, someone tweeted at him, "Oh, you're willing to work with anybody, right?" And he just said, "Not everybody."
Oh, Jericho said that?
Yeah.
Dude, this is number one. Can we what freaking Twilight Zone are we in, where AEW's got a new, evidently, according to the Wrestling Observer, 2-hour Saturday show?
Yeah.
That, according to Wrestling Observer, CM Punk is going to be headlining in an effort to keep people away from each other. There's going to be basically a brand split.
Yeah.
Where you're going to have Punk. Now, obviously, as we know at WWE, a brand split's not always a brand split. Yep. Roman is the champion of both brands. The Usos are the champions of both brands.
Well, here's the thing, even about AEW brand split, they still have one pay-per-view, per quarter. That's both brands.
Yeah, right.
So, you might be able to keep them, everybody apart for, 48 or so weeks of the year, 46, 48. Those pay-per-view weekends, everybody's going to be in the building together.
Well, look, if you can't manage to have 4 times a year, I guess at this point 5-6 times a year,
5 or 6, yeah,
people in the same building, very large buildings, mind you,
yeah,
and you can't figure out how to put this brand in one locker room and this brand in another locker room, and then I guess they just don't meet up. Like, what the hell? This is not the. I'm sorry, but this is asinine.
It's pretty
If you
silly.
can't get these people to be on the same page, like, you're gonna create a whole new TV show so that because you can't figure out how to get people to work together. That's bizarre.
Well,
that
I
is
guess
weird to me.
So someone was making that kind of point about them creating a whole new show or something like that, and Sean Ross Sapp was like, "No, it seems like this show was greenlit."
Yeah, right.
Saturday
this wasn't
show.
created specifically for that. You're right,
Yes.
but the idea that this would be a solution.
Yeah.
That okay, well, these guys don't. What happens when like a third party doesn't want to work with Punk or the Elite?
Mm-hmm.
What if they have beef with like Punk and the Elite, but there's still a draw, and Tony Khan's like, you know what? We'll do a third brand or a fourth brand because I already have Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Like, it seems the people skills really need to be worked on here. I feel like they're just sort of running roughshod over the entire thing. This shit wouldn't fly in WWE. If somebody doesn't like working with somebody, I mean, they just sort of deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they all have to answer to Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
I was really kind of surprised when I read that this would even be offered up as a solution. Punk would lead this show, the Elite are going to be over here, and so they don't have to deal with each other. That's a precedent that opens up a whole nasty can of worms.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, it's
I mean, you telling me that everybody on Fulham FC is completely harmonious? Maybe they are. I mean, people on, a lot of professional sports leagues, they all get along. But there are instances where people on a team don't like other people on that same team, and they learn how to coexist. They play on the same court or field or whatever together. Yeah. It's kind of bizarre to me that this would be a situation because it doesn't solve any problems. It's like a really poorly placed Band-Aid on this problem.
It really is. It is a Band-Aid. The smallest those little tiny circular Band-Aids that you'd put on your neck when you cut yourself shaving.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
It's one of those on like the giant head wound that Don Callis had after Mox punched him on Dynamite.
Boy,
that's what this is.
Yeah.
It's a push. It's like, okay, well, no one's gonna make any efforts to kind of mend fences. Well, we'll just kick the can down the road and keep it separate, and then hopefully, all right, nothing else will come of it, and it's a lack of leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, Tony Khan as CEO, GM, and creative head of the company needs to tell everybody, all right, Punk, Kenny, Matt, Nick, you're sitting in a room and we're working this out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We're working this out now. And you got to do this and you got to do the same with Punk and Jericho.
Yeah. Right.
And if he's not willing to do that, I mean, it's going to be trouble for him.
Mr. Dope in our chat. Draymond Green literally knocked out Jordan Poole on the Golden State Warriors. And they still play together. They're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it's nuts to me that would be the situation. And I'm not even throwing shade. I'm not even dogging Punk. I'm not dogging the Elite. This is like this is not going to work. If you're a wrestling promoter, you have to be able to sit down and tell people, you're going to win, you're going to lose. All right. I have you under contract. Miro, get in here and take this loss. And I know, look, maybe Tony Khan's not putting Miro in, or not, is trying to put Miro in situations where, we as an audience and fans of Miro, and I'm just using Miro as a reason here because there were reports that Miro and Tony Khan couldn't get on the same page because Miro didn't want to take certain losses, right? Mm-hmm. You're wrestling for a fake wrestling show. You're under contract. You just go and you do what the promoter says. He's paying you a bunch of money. You just sort of do that. I understand wanting to protect yourself, but you're a wrestling promoter. You got to show some backbone here.
Yeah. Yeah. You do.
I don't know. It's just weird, man. It's just weird.
It is weird. Before we get on to the rest of Meltzer's stuff, let's talk about this proposed primetime Saturday show that, if all this is true, Punk will be the focal point of. I don't know if primetime on Saturday is that plum of a spot. Especially
the point that the Observer makes as well, which we all know.
It's going to run head-to-head with a lot of sporting events. Yeah.
TBS and TNT. There's something more important than wrestling on both those channels, and that's sports. Yeah.
What this means for Rampage. So if they're going to do a 2-hour Saturday show, are they going to keep Rampage on Friday nights? What, 12, I don't know, like 14 hours before, 15 hours before this other show goes on? I mean, if especially that's 3 hours over the course of the weekend for AEW programming when Rampage is already doing crap numbers.
Yeah.
In a horrible time slot. Yeah, sure, Saturday in prime time is slightly better, but there's a reason that none of the high-profile TV shows are ever on the weekend.
You know,
because most weekend evenings, people got better things to do and sit down and watch TV.
I know.
At least historically speaking.
I know. I agree with that. I do think that, look, honestly, Rampage would be doing a lot better numbers if they actually gave a damn about it. If they actually, because I understand it's a terrible time slot. But like, there's also that perception, and yes, they've gotten into a circular thing where it's got a bad time slot. Nobody watches it, so they don't do anything important on it. But then nobody watches because they don't do anything important on it.
Yeah.
And they do anything important on it, nobody watches because traditionally they don't.
Yeah.
So it's just, as far as the Saturday show goes, I think there's a little bit of a difference if they do actually enact sort of a soft brand split, because Rampage isn't really like, yeah, certain people kind of only appear on Rampage, but like if they're going to book Saturday shows like its own Dynamite, and it's 2 hours and it's the only place you're going to see CM Punk and it's the only place you're going to see FTR and the two other people in the company who want to work with CM Punk. If that's going to be on Saturday, I could see that doing better than Rampage.
Oh, it will do better than Rampage, but it's still not that great of a time spot. Is the point?
No, I don't know why they don't aim for like a Thursday or a.
Yeah, I don't know either.
I mean, maybe
that way you do one
nights.
show Wednesday, one show Thursday. Your crew, bang bang, 2 days in a row, done.
Thursday's the big inside the NBA. I mean, that's when the NBA runs.
Oh yeah,
I think probably the most. I think Saturdays is like ABC and ESPN.
You know what? If this is true and Phil gets the Saturday show, this is going to be a real test if he's plus Delta or not.
I don't think anybody's going to do that time slot much justice, but I'd figure it'd do better than Ramp. Especially, honestly, it's the kind of thing where, like I said, if important stuff happens there, if you make it destination, then people might be more willing to check it out. But yeah, I don't know. There's not enough days in the week, you know. I don't know what you do there. I really don't.
No.
You know, if AEW is smart, they'd run like Tuesdays and Thursdays. You know, WWE has Mondays and Fridays, so you do Tuesdays and Thursdays, I guess. I don't know.
Tuesday Night Wars, NXT, Dynamite, head to head.
Sure, you know, yeah. So I don't know. It's a tough spot to be in because you're going to be preempted. You're going to be preempted over and over.
Get preempted
again.
a lot. Be going head to head with WWE pay-per-views because they're running Saturdays, the huge events.
Yeah.
You know, like as Meltzer mentioned, UFC cards usually Saturday nights be running head to head against those.
Yeah, yeah.
College football in the fall. You know, NBA. Even towards the tail end of the NFL season and in the playoffs, there's Saturday games, usually during the day, but still.
And just the general, like you said earlier, this is the weekend.
It's just the weekend. Just historically speaking, you don't put your high profile stuff on the weekend because the viewership numbers aren't as good. So
yeah. So I don't know, man. The whole thing it's kind of a mess. Like I was really surprised when I saw that there'd be a bit of a soft brand split for the reasons of, you know, keeping people separate that don't want to work with each other, because that's just going to get out of control.
It is.
You know, at some point you got to put your foot down and say, listen, I'm paying you gobs of money. Yeah. You know, y'all need to start working together.
Yep.
And just let the chips fall where they may. If that causes the elite to run out of AEW, then so be it. You know, I don't know what it would be. I don't know, but
I don't know either.
Yeah,
I don't know either.
Some stuff.
So in the latest newsletter, Meltzer offers up some additional details. What he had to say, quote, "It's a tenuous situation." That's probably putting it mildly, because the dressing room issues involving him, Punk, have not been settled at all at press time. The working idea was that the Saturday show would star Punk. They would split crews to a large degree. History does show that splitting crews never lasts long, but in this case, the idea is to ease the dressing room problems in the sense those who have not made up would be kept on different crews and wouldn't have to interact with each other. The original idea for the show was a 2-hour show that would have equaled the star power of the Wednesday show. Of course, until it's announced, nothing is official.
You know, honestly, like, I don't know why he just doesn't, look, if Punk wants to come back, great, but just say you're not going to be what you wanted to be in the first place, evidently, which was just all over the place. You guys get your lock. We'll have an A, B, and a C locker room, and y'all can sign up for whatever locker rooms. I don't know. It sounds childish. It really does.
It does.
But, I see people both here in our YouTube chat and I see people in our Twitch chat sort of echoing another sentiment as well. And I'm sure hardcore AEW fans would maybe disagree with this, but creatively speaking, they're just now getting their footing back with Dynamite. Mm-hmm. And that is sort of like not all there.
Speaking of a tenuous situation, yes.
And if you look at, and granted, I've only seen that first Ring of Honor show. Maybe it's gotten better. I'll have to go and look at it again, like the more recent ones. But like, if this is going to be a situation where Tony Khan's going to revert to, let's just throw a bunch of matches on there and we don't have to worry about stories. That's just not going to, if it's not going to be compelling, if it's going to stretch him too thin again, more.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's another issue, stretching him too thin. From a creative standpoint, it seems like it's tough for him to sustain 2 hours of Ring of Honor, 2 hours of Dynamite, an hour of Rampage, plus an extra hour, 2 or 3 hours of Dark and Elevation, and an extra 2 hours on top of that. And then at that point, also, there's the worry of overexposure of your product.
Oh yeah, oversaturation. Are you kidding me? Absolutely,
too much of it. I mean, at this juncture, I know we're you and I are different from a lot of wrestling fans in that we have to watch everything every week. It's the nature of our job. But if you look at they add this Saturday show to the docket, if you're a fan of both WWE and AEW and like keeping up with at least the major shows, you're talking 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of Dynamite, assuming Rampage is sticking around, an hour of Rampage, 2 hours of SmackDown, and 2 hours of new AEW show.
Even
that's
before
3, 5, 7. That's 10 hours of wrestling minimum.
Even before, and that's a really good point. Even before this, info came out about possibly keeping the brand separate, when I thought of another wrestling show on Saturdays, I figured it'd be an hour, basically another Rampage, where they, just sort of forward in the most minor of ways stories and have some obligatory matches. But 2 hours, another 2 hour major show, I don't know about that. It's just that's a lot. And again, if you're a hardcore AEW fan, good for you if this is something that you're interested in. But there's no way. I mean, look, if you're a fan of just match, and you don't need a lot of story, then maybe it's like an all-you-can-eat platter. Good. That's awesome for you. But yeah, I don't see how this is going to improve any product or make anything better when there's already issues with it right now. Like, you're not there yet. Like, you're not there. The only reason WWE had a brand split in the very, very, very first place was because they bought 2 other companies. And then obviously, they were the only game in town, and so ages later they did another one. But I don't know, man. I don't know about this.
If there's one positive to be gleaned from the idea of them getting another 2 hour show, it must mean that Warner Brothers is pretty happy with their relationship and happy with the numbers of at least Dynamite. And if they're willing to invest television time on another 2 hour show, with the ideas of maybe not getting Dynamite numbers, but something better than Rampage, that's a worthwhile investment for Warner Brothers Discovery. So I guess if there's any positive to be gleaned from this, it speaks to the health of the relationship between AEW and Warner Brothers Discovery. So
yeah, sure, no, absolutely, and it's another upside. It's more people getting exposure on cable television. Maybe some of the people who are on Dark and Elevation who might need a higher profile. This will help them out. Maybe they'll get them on that show. I don't know. It's more people getting paid. More matches during the week means more people getting paid, and that's never a bad thing. But speaking from our point of view, from the point of view of fans, it's a big ask.
It is.
It's a big ask. So
it is. It really is.
We're going to talk more about Vince McMahon and WWE here in just a moment. But of course, Larson, we're gonna go ahead and pay some bills here really quick.
All right, let's do it.
And in doing so, of course, our first sponsor here is Manscaped, and I'm gonna zoom in once again.
Do we have to?
good old Jim Ross. Listen, man, I'm not making you talk to Jim Ross himself. We've got the next best thing, maybe even a better thing. Celebrity Jim Ross impersonator, Dick Slavitt. I'll let him take over from here.
All right.
Oh, man. That's right. I'm back, everybody. Back by popular demand. Jim Ross impersonator, Dick Slavitt. That's right. Oh, man.
Hi, Rick. How are you?
I'm doing well. We're here to talk about Manscaped. Let's talk about getting smooth.
Let's talk about Manscaped. Manscaped is the world's leader in below-the-belt grooming, and they are traveling north of the South Pole.
You said pole. I love it. I love when people talk about poles.
I'm sure. Yeah. Okay. And then they're introducing a new line of beard products. It's exciting for me. So it's time that myself and all the bearded friendos out there upgrade their grooming game by going to manscaped.com and using promo code RAW to get 20% off plus free shipping. Manscaped's Beard Hedger Pro Kit includes a cordless beard hedger, which offers 20 hair trim in length on this rotary guard right here.
Oh, look at that. That looks tough. That's great.
It does look tough. And it's tough on those beard hairs, but while being smooth on your face.
Oh, man.
The Pro Kit also includes Manscaped's beard shampoo and conditioner, beard oil, and beard balm to keep your facial follicles moisturized and looking good.
Just imagine your pleasure and your significant other. And they're like, man, all that hair on the face is so smooth. It feels great. It's tickling my thighs. Speaking of smooth, let's talk about Manscaped's other products, including the brand new Weed Whacker 2.0.
I got one right here.
I love talking about whacking, which will keep all the hairs that grow out of your nose and ears in check. Let's say you're trying to pleasure your significant other. They don't want to be looking at a bunch of unsightly nose hairs and ear hairs. It's disgusting. See, it's got improved blades and skin-safe tech that ensures there'll be no tugging on those hairs you got popping out of your nostrils. And you know how much JR loves tugging? No tugging on hairs, though. Weed Whacker 2.0 is also included in Manscaped's Performance Package 4.0. I can't wait for Manscaped to drop Performance Package 6.9. It's got everything you need to keep yourself from becoming an overgrown thicket. You want to pleasure your significant other, not be a thicket? I know I do.
All right, thank you, Rick. So get 20% off and free shipping with our code RAW at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com and use our code RAW. Always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.
You want to use my tool right now? You can't. No, Dick Slavitt, Jim Ross impersonator. You can find me on any number of good celebrity impersonator websites.
Move on.
I got to get that plug in. Speaking of plug, okay, I cut him off.
Good.
That was too much.
It was too much.
Way too much. But shout out to Manscaped for sponsoring the show today.
Thank you, Manscaped. And
before we get back to the show, we're going to calm things down a little bit. We're going to get a word from our sponsor, HelloFresh. Larson, between going in Raw, Friendo Club Wrestling, and my own channel, Wrestle Juice, I'm a busy guy. And sometimes I just don't want to deal with the hassle of meal planning and grocery shopping.
Well, Steve, I've said goodbye, and you can too, to meal prep and seemingly endless trips to the grocery store thanks to HelloFresh. With HelloFresh, you get farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, delicious seasonal recipes delivered directly to your door. You know, I'm pretty much an amateur in the kitchen. Amateur. And it's not uncommon for me to forget to add an ingredient or put too much or too little of something in when I'm preparing a recipe. But HelloFresh makes me feel like a cooking pro since each recipe comes with detailed instructions, step by step. It's easy to follow, so it's easy for someone like me, amateur, to get a delicious meal on the table to feed my hungry family fast, especially that beef bulgogi stir fry. We love it here in the Larson household.
Yeah, man, and food is so expensive these days, but HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% cheaper than takeout. HelloFresh isn't just for dinner either. They've got something for basically any and every mealtime, including snack, easy lunches, and brunch.
Oh, yeah. Have you seen the chicken and waffle recipe they got? It looks delicious. Man. Friendos can try America's #1 meal kit by going to HelloFresh.com/GIR50 and use code GIR50 for 50% off, plus your first box ships free. Again, go to HelloFresh.com/GIR50 and use code GIR50 for 50% off and free shipping on your first box.
Thanks again to HelloFresh for sponsoring today's show.
Thank you.
All right, man. So let's talk about Vince McMahon and what's going on with WWE creative. So after the dumpster fire that was the Raw After Mania, there's been a dark cloud hovering over WWE programming that Vince could decide to once again get in the weeds of WWE creative, his words. Even though it seems clear based on last week's SmackDown and this week's past Raw that Triple H is still in charge of day-to-day creative. There was a stark difference. In this week's Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer talked about Vince's current influence in the creative direction of WWE. This is what the Wrestling Observer himself had to say. McMahon is the one in charge of the company, so what he wants is what will happen. But at least for now, the creative team is going to mostly be in charge, except for whatever Vince wants. Time will tell how deep that will be, but when it comes to the top of the card stuff, ultimately they are doing what he wants. But we do know of some of the minor things on the show, including promo wordings that were changed this week, so the influence is there. I think a lot of people noticed, that's end quote, a lot of people noticed local medical facility was still being said as opposed to hospital. Yes. Or urgent care, perhaps. Speaking of recent creative changes within WWE, the company made a name change to an upcoming premium live event. The previously announced King and Queen of the Ring show is now named Night of Champions. PW Insider reports that the name change was a creative choice to change the name, allowing WWE to revive Night of Champions event for the first time in 8 years and bring it to an international market. There seemed to be no word on whether or not they're actually going to do those tournaments.
Yeah.
But apparently the name change is going to be. I like Night of Champions. That's cool. Hopefully they sort of do them both where you get King of the Ring happening at
Totally.
Night of Champions.
There is a lot of speculation the name change has something to do with Vince because I guess historically speaking, he's not been a fan of tournaments. That's one of the things that, they say about Vince. Doesn't like tournaments.
Yeah, that's why the King of the Ring went away for so long.
Yeah. And also, I guess Night of Champions, that's the night where Roman will have held the Universal title for 1,000 days.
Oh, okay. Well, that sort of makes sense. I mean, it's a bummer. When he was gone, we had the King of the Ring. Wait, is that right? No, never mind. No, King of the Ring. King of the Ring preceded that. Yeah. But that was such a joke. remember the what was it? The Queen's Quest? What was it? What was it called?
Queen's Crown. Yeah.
Queen's Crown. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
And how like it was like the total number of matches equal.
The total time for the match is like 20 minutes for the whole tournament. Yeah.
It was like closer to 10. It was ridiculously short.
Yeah, it was. They didn't dedicate any time to those matches. I know. Yeah. And then Xavier Woods got the win in King of the Ring, and he was trying to make it a thing.
Yeah.
That's something he had been lobbying for a number of years. And then, like 6 weeks into it or a couple months maybe, then Roman took it and smashed the crown. And that's the last we saw of it.
It's good heat. Come on. Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah, it'd be great if they brought the tournaments back, but who knows?
Yeah, Vince really is at the top of the food chain run, telling people, do this, do that. Then he's not going to approve a tournament. But, maybe we're wrong about that. What do I care? Do a tournament. Who cares? Anyways. So let's talk about NXT this week.
Sure.
More Fallout. No, actually, now we're road to spring breaking.
Yeah, it's in 2 weeks now.
Will take place a good 3 weeks after actual spring break for most people.
Yeah.
But spring break sort of coincides with Stand and Deliver. So unless they're going to they should call it like school breaking. Was it 2 weeks? Yeah, it's too early for school to be out though. So
yeah, I know, but then they could license Alice Cooper's "Schools Out" as the theme.
Schools Out, yeah. Wait till like end of May, early June, and do.
There you go.
Then
Schools Out, yeah.
Schools Out. Hey, that's a good one. I like that. So yeah, Grayson Waller, the guy who just sort of loses upwards, is the new number one contender.
That's the way of putting it, yeah.
Any chance this? No. Okay.
None whatsoever. No, I was actually fairly surprised.
Not even worth discussing.
No, I was actually fairly surprised they had Waller win this because in 2 weeks he's just going to lose to Carmelo. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask this.
I'll say this. The one caveat I'll have on that is if Braun interferes, there's a chance that Grayson Waller can win.
If he is this just like they're about to send Grayson Waller up to main? I feel like they need to send Grayson Waller up to main roster, like at the draft. Mm-hmm. If the draft is going to happen in 3 weeks, then in 2 weeks spring breaking's there. Give Waller one last main event loss, and then because he's ready to go to main roster.
Oh yeah,
he might be. I mean, he's more ready to go to main roster than Braun Breaker is.
Oh yeah, I mean, Grayson Waller has a very well defined character, and he knows exactly who that character is. I can't say the same thing for Braun.
Ready, yeah, especially now. But no, a lot of good wrestling on the show this week as well. Also, a couple of really long promos.
Yeah.
But there was some good stuff.
The main event was really good. All the stuff with Chase U was real solid. That's continually one of the better stories going on in NXT.
Yeah, it was. And then we got the debut of Frank Ledger.
Tank Ledger.
Come on, man. We're not going to call him Tank. We have
I'm just
perfect.
Because people would be like,
here.
if we don't, I don't say that. People are like, oh, his name was Tank.
All right,
like
so
we
that's
know the
out
name
of the
was
way.
Tank. That's out of the way.
People in the comments that want to like be, oh, actually, why are they calling him Frank? Because
we know the name's Tank. Yes, go ahead.
Last week they announced 3 new people in NXT. 2 people I forget their name, but one person I remember very distinctly, Tank Ledger. Which when I saw the word ledger, I'm like, oh, Ledger. He should be like his gimmick should be a CPA, a tax man, a tax accountant, something like that. And then you said, yeah, Frank Ledger. And then what's his catchphrase?
If I'm being frank.
No, it's let me be Frank.
Oh, let me be Frank.
Let me be Frank. And he looks into the camera. It was great.
It's great.
Yeah. So Frank Ledger.
He's like the TV CPA.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
TV's Frank Ledger.
Well, you're sitting there watching like, Price is Right, middle of the day. I guess people still do that. You think like you think housewives or house husbands still like, it's like in the 80s, they sit there with like rollers in their hair and they'd watch all the daytime shows.
Yeah.
You think that ever happens? You think that happens these days? I feel like they all watch like that. I think they all just watch like true crime shows.
I mean, that could be. I mean, there was a spell when I was between jobs years ago, and I would sit and I'd watch Price is Right. I'd watch People's Court.
Dun.
Like I'd watch the daytime TV.
Dun. Yeah.
While trying to look for a job. So
What'd you think of Frank Ledger and his debut, Larson?
I thought the backstage bit. He came off as pretty polished. I don't know how long he's been wrestling, but I thought the backstage bit with Hank Walker was pretty solid. Like when he says something, he seems genuine. I thought he comported himself pretty good in the ring against Joe Coffey, and Joe Coffey was bumping all over the place to try to make him look good.
It was not like succeeded. a 5 minute. This was like a 10-minute match.
Yeah,
this is like a longer match. Yeah, I was surprised that they gave him that long, and he actually did look very, like you said, polished. He looked very polished, and I thought it was great for him. Unfortunately, here going in Raw, he will be referred to as Frank Ledger.
Frank Ledger, yes.
Yeah, wrestling CPA.
Yeah.
So, anyways, we'll just dive into it. It kicked off with Carmelo Hayes and Trick Williams. They come down. They've got a long ass promo interrupted by many people.
Yes.
So Melo says, "Let's address what happened last week." Braun, everything between you and I was supposed to be about respect, which I still take issue with because, like, he had Trick hit him in the head with the belt to get the belt, but whatever. Anyways, he said, "I let my guard down. I was caught slipping." Trick said, "It won't happen again." Melo says, "It's not going to happen again. Listen, I understand you're still in your feelings about taking that loss and stand and deliver. Defeat is cold. Defeat is lonely. I get it. I've been there. But if you think that raising my hand at the end of the match was any kind of passing the torch, you're wrong. You didn't pass me anything. I took it. Everybody at home, all these people here, they don't want you to be their number one anymore. They want Melo." He says, "Look, you and I are going to be doing battle for a long time. Mania weekend was just a chapter in that story, but I'm going to flex my championship privileges, and I'm going to offer you a spot in that fatal four-way tonight so you get a chance to face me for the NXT title at Spring Breakin'. And that offer, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you because I need to get it back."
And then he's interrupted by Dragon Lee. He comes to the ring and says, "Melo, really, congratulations. Last week, Braun disrespected you, and understand you want revenge, but I came here to fight the best. This title around your waist says that you are the best. But it proves that when Melo shoots, he doesn't miss. Melo, you want Breaker, but after I win the fatal four-way tonight, it's going to be me. It's going to be you and I at Spring Breakin' for the NXT title." And then Trick says, "This dragon spit and fire." And Melo laughs and responds. He goes, Okay, Dragon Lee, everyone. First off, welcome to NXT. Pleasure to have you. Phenomenal talent, but here's one thing you never do." And Trick says, "You never interrupt the champion." And Melo adds, "But since you're new here, you get a pass." If you do find yourself getting the W tonight, you need to realize one thing, that I have this championship not because it looks good around my waist, because I'm really like that. At Spring Breakin', he's interrupted again.
JD McDonough. Is it just me, or was Carmelo? Everybody seems to actually take real life delight in clowning JD McDonough.
Yeah.
We saw it already with Kevin Owens. I think we saw it again with somebody else. And Carmelo, when he pops that leprechaun joke, he
really leaned into it, didn't he?
He really did. And then like there's like in character Carmelo when he like smiles. That was a legit smile.
It really was. It really was.
He really was tickled by that.
Yeah, he was.
So McDonough comes out, says, you got to keep your head on a swivel around here, Mello. You got challengers left and right. 1 week with that title and your armor of invincibility is slipping already. 1 week with that title and you two got yourselves laid out by Braun Breaker. That's not my style. If it was me, I'd come out here and headbutt you right in the face. What you two need to learn is that ego is loud and confidence is quiet, so I don't need to be an internet darling like my man over here. I don't need those fancy entrances. None of that matters to me. When that bell goes, I know I'm number one. Mello says, okay, JD, game recognizes game, but you still have to get over the rainbow before you get to this pot of gold. And yes, that was a leprechaun joke. He says, but listen, that's not what really matters. What matters is boom, 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 boom. Grayson Waller comes out. And he says, oi, Grayson Waller's here. I'm going to be in this match too. And then Mello's like, okay, everybody wants to be a winner. Who's going to do what it takes to really win? There can only be one, him.
Yeah.
He holds up the title.
Yeah. Next, we're backstage. Kiana James is getting ready for their tag team rematch. Fallon steps in. It's like, are we good? And Kiana's like, well, considering that you're trying to ruin my relationship, sure. Yeah, we're good. But let's focus on winning the titles back. And they're kind of arguing the whole time. Let's win these titles back by any means necessary. And Fallon protests a bit. And Kiana says, I don't need a goody two-shoes, Fallon. I need a yeehaw bitch, Fallon, as my partner. That's the only way we're going to win. And they start yelling at each other. Then Briggs steps in and says, you two need to focus on your match tonight. Get those tag titles back. And Fallon asks, where's Brooks at? And Kiana says, he's not coming because he's going to be around the two of you.
Yeah. So after that, we had that match.
Yeah, match was next.
Mid-match, Jensen comes rolling up out in the parking lot with a head full of steam. So he shows up. We get this bit where Alba goes for Alabama Slam. Fallon versus into a destroyer, which is a really cool bit. Jensen shows up in the arena, grabs Kiana's bag, and rushes into the ring. And he's trying to give it to Fallon. Is like, hit her, do it. And the ref just turns around. He's like, what? There's a whole dude in here. What's going on? And why are you just trying to get her to cheat?
Get out of here.
So he throws him out of there. So he goes to the floor, and then Briggs tries to like talk to him basically. And Jensen turns around and shoves Briggs. And then Fallon turns around into a kick from Isla. Her and Alba hit a backstabber swanton combo for the win. And then Jensen carries Kiana up the ramp after the match. The thing that I actually love about what I saw on NXT with Jensen is that it's clear, and this sort of echoes the same thing with Roxanne Perez, the anxiety stuff. It is clear as day they've got like younger people writing this stuff because this is the stupid shit that guys do for women. This plays exactly right. You will watch a guy, or, you know, reversed as well, like for women that they do crazy shit too. You'll watch a guy in his 20s, the first taste of romance, do some stupid ass shit that you're sitting there like, stop doing that.
Yep.
And that's what I love. Is like, oh my God, he's doing the crazy, you know, he's freaking under the spell of, oh man, you know what I mean? And you see that, you see people do this shit in real life. Like if you're a dude in your early 20s and you've been in a relationship or two, you will know this behavior because you will be driven crazy sometimes. I like that. I thought it was really good. I thought it made sense. And I like that it gives Jensen like character stuff, you know, like there's actual stuff happening here. I like it, man.
Yeah. Yeah. They're setting up stories and then going somewhere with them as opposed to just having them be mostly set up.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Which is good. It's good. After that, we got a Noam Dar video package. Apparently, he's going to be defending the Heritage Cup in NXT, which is great news. He explained the rules of the matches. And he's like, hey, no one's going to beat me for this trophy.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
No, I love that. I think it's great.
Happy Noam Dar's there. Hopefully, get some Supernova sessions. Next, we had Chase U presenting Duke Hudson with the MVP trophy. So Chase introduces the ceremony, says a stand deliver the chips were down, and this man went above and beyond the call of duty and earned the distinction of most valuable player. We haven't always seen eye to eye, but we can agree on this: that Duke will always fight for me, and we'll show those sorry ass mother. And then
Duke's like, "Whoa, chill out!
Whoa, you can't do that.
You can't say that."
And Chase apologizes and he unveils the MVP trophy and presents it to Duke. So Duke takes the podium. You want to be Duke here, Steve?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. He says, first of all, he thanks Chase University. He says, I don't like award ceremonies. I don't want the attention on me. It's not about Chase me. It's about Chase you. But as I stand here thinking about Stand and Deliver, millions around the world are watching me. Duke, I took Chase you, put them on my large back, and took them to the promised land. This isn't just me patting myself on my large back. It was a group effort. So to my mentor, thank you. To Thea, thank you. And now Duke Hudson is Chase U's MVP. He tells the crowd to rise, and he leads the Chase U chant. Meanwhile, Braun Breaker, who is clad in all black, so there's no mistaking it. He is a bad Braun Breaker now. Mm-hmm. He interrupts. He just sort of moseys about ringside.
There's not a whole lot of urgency to what he's doing here.
No, he's this is definitely milling about heel Braun Breaker.
Yeah.
He says, everyone here wants to know what I have to say. And then Chase says, you're interrupting something very important. Everybody saw this coming up to me and saying there's a #1 contender match tonight. Ask me if I'm in the match. Mello wants me in it, but I finally realized the title's nothing but a curse. I don't need the approval of these scumbags anymore. You people going to see a side of me you've never seen before. So, Duke, if anybody's take my place in #1 contender match, it's you. He offers Duke his hand. Duke shakes it. Braun's about to leave, and he turns around and hits Chase with a gnarly spear.
Yeah.
And then Duke, he sort of hesitates, and he's looking back and forth he's got the Chase U flag and his MVP trophy, and he makes a decision. He grabs the trophy and rolls out of the ring. He's cuddling it like a baby.
I know. So he's like after the spear. So the camera shot has Braun in the foreground standing up from the spear, and Duke in the background. He's literally doing this. Arms out.
Yeah. He's torn between the two. Yeah. In a very melodramatic cartoon.
Yeah, very much so. So he rushes to the MVP trophy, yes, and then hugs it, and then rolls out of the ring.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Then we got a Gigi Dolan video package. She goes to an abandoned house and said, "This is the house I grew up in." Talks about the window where her and her brother used to look out and and kind of like think of a better future for themselves.
Yeah.
So this is really well done.
This was good stuff. Yeah,
it was good stuff, and Gigi has been dropping some great promos since the split of Toxic Attraction. It's really good stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. Let me ask you something real quick. Going back to the Braun Breaker stuff.
Yeah.
So he said the title's a curse, so he doesn't want in the match.
Yeah.
Why did he give his spot to Duke?
Duke's the MVP.
Braun recognizes that. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I like it. Maybe he's a fan of Chase U.
Maybe he's doing it to prove a point to Duke that, much like the title, that MVP trophy is a curse.
That could be.
Because with that comes expectations. And
do you
Duke
think
brought up those expectations? Anyways, go ahead.
Perhaps the lack of urgency is a clue in that Braun just happened to show up during that ceremony, and he saw the guy that was sort of most likely to take his place and was like, whatever, I'm going to give it to him.
Maybe.
Like if he had showed up 15 minutes later, then he would have been there, and it would have been Eddie Thorpe.
Yeah.
Who would have gotten this shot. Yeah. He just decided, well, whoever, I'm going to show up at the ring. I'm going to give it to somebody. I'm going to stop off at Wawa first, grab a Powerade, and then I'm going to head over to and whoever happens to be in the ring.
I'm going to jump the barricade, and whoever's in the ring, guess what? You get a shot at a title opportunity. Sure.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's possible.
Could be. We get a quick little video of NXT Anonymous shooting some video of Tony D and Stax attacking Pretty Deadly and throwing Kit Wilson to the trunk of a car.
So I know that NXT Anonymous does not have like a proper windscreen for whatever microphone they have, because it was like,
yeah.
And then after that we had Javier Barnell versus Eddie Thorpe. Eddie, thanks to his training at the LA Dojo, is mighty crisp with his offense.
Yeah,
and his wrestling. It was good stuff, man.
It was good. They gave this match a lot more time, it felt like, than Eddie Thorpe's previous match.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And Damon Kemp comes out to watch the bout.
Yeah, clad in a leather jacket.
Yeah. Eddie gets the win. German suplex, double underhook neck breaker to get the W. And then we go to earlier the day. Tank Ledger's got his photo shoot, and Gallus interrupts. So they're talking trash. Eventually leads to Joe challenging Frank Ledger to a match.
Frank.
And they're arguing. Producers coming to break it up. So Frank Ledger gets escorted out. Gallus turns around. Schism's right there. And Grizzly Young Veterans, who apparently haven't gotten their release, are like, we've been kind of like frozen out of the tag team title picture. We want title match.
Yeah.
And Gallus is like, sure.
They told us, no, we will not be NXT's #1 release.
No.
So they're just stuck in a match now. After that, we had Tiffany Stratton versus Sol Ruca.
Sorry, who?
Sol Ruca.
Thank you.
We didn't get to see her cool finish.
This was really good stuff, though.
It was really good stuff, but
this match was really good.
Sol Ruca.
It was really good.
Yeah, it was. It was really good.
It was really good. Tiffany gets the win here, though. What? Go ahead.
Tiffany's like totally knows who her character is. She's really good.
I know.
I wonder what thing is going to be the inciting incident to get there with Sol Ruca. You know? Because it's all, her in-ring stuff is very creative. Her presentation's outstanding. As a character, though, we don't really know. I mean, they did those documentaries, but like that was just her as opposed to the pro wrestling character that we're going to see, which has to be a bit bigger, you know?
Well, I feel like in the little video packages they did, it was her. I saw this stunt, this cool thing. I'm going to try to do it now.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Which is cool because it's impressive to see someone do a handstand on a skateboard, then flip out of it and land on their feet on the skateboard. That's impressive stuff.
Yeah, it is. It is.
But yeah, in terms of adding more layers to that character, that's what we need. Yeah,
and the sort of like TV character thing
that projects. Yes,
right. Exactly.
Yeah.
But no, Tiffany got the win here with that awesome moonsault of hers. This was good stuff. After that, we had Chase U backstage. Duke is warming up. Thea's bringing Chase some water. Duke thanks Chase for what he did, sacrificing himself so he could win tonight's Fatal 4-Way. And now he says, I'll be the first to bring gold home to Chase U, because it's not about Chase me, it's about Chase U.
Chase U. Then we got Diamond Mine interview. Mackenzie says, Ivy asked for this time. And Ivy says, yeah, last week I handled my issue with Tatum, and now Diamond Mine stands together. Julia says, Gallus played their ace in a hole at Stand Deliver with Joe Coffey, but now that he's there, there's no more surprises. So we're issuing a challenge for the tag titles. Our focus is on Gallus. Joe's in action tonight, so we'll be watching. So they leave. Tiffany Stratton steps in, and she says, to the surprise of no one, another victory for me. How I'm not the number one contender just fascinates me. And she says, I know Indy is scared of me. I think she said I beat her twice already. She's the most beatable champion ever.
I hope that they allow Indy to shed that tag by actually winning, because that is going to stick.
I know.
Okay, here's the thing. You're going to win the title, but everybody's going to call you the most beatable champion ever. So a heartbreak. Can we talk about that a little bit? Can we not have everybody call me the most beatable champion?
I know.
Anyway.
Next, we had a Cora Jade promo. So I'll try to keep this succinct. She just went through.
My goodness, this was so long.
5 or 6 members of the women's division and talk trash about them.
An endless parade of just calling people out, and it just took forever. Yeah,
it did take a little bit. It did take a little while. So eventually, she ends with Indy Hartwell, says everybody's chanting you deserve it, but I was chanting, took you long enough. Says, Indy, this isn't your fairy tale. This is my NXT, and I'm the hero of the story. So then Lyra Valkyria comes out and says, you can cut through the division with your vicious tongue, but what's the reason behind it? Is it because in your absence, the entire division took a step forward? Watching Stand Deliver create some jealousy? She says, bet it was real humbling watching the show without you. And look at me, Cora. If you were to come back If you want to come back and reach the peak on the microphone, go ahead. But when it comes to that title, if you come near it, I'll rip your eyes out.
Yeesh.
And so Cora slaps her, and then Lyra responds with a couple kicks and sends Cora out of the ring.
Yeesh. Yeah. After that, we had a Wesley interview. Mackenzie asks, how do you stay so sharp? And he says, I still have the chip on my shoulder, and with the amount of talent there is in NXT, I got to stay on point. There's been so many greats who have held the title before me, and many of them are on main roster, and if I really want to make sure my talents, and then Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey step in. Wonders if Lee can retain if he stays grounded. And then Charlie asks, Wes, how are you supposed to run and jump around the ring when your ligaments are torn? And Wes says, if you want an opportunity, all you got to do is ask.
Yep. And then we got Von Wagner. Hey.
If I lose this match, then Stone's gone. It's just me and Christmas Mousepad.
And guess what?
Hey. I lost this match.
Yeah, he did.
But I'm a big monster.
Are you now?
I lost this match, though.
Yeah, you did. You did, didn't you? So, yeah.
I don't have to share my food with Stone anymore, though.
No, just Christmas Mousepad.
I secretly wanted to lose this match. So now it's just when I get a cheeseburger, I don't have to give one of the buns to Stone.
How do you eat the cheeseburger with only one bun on it?
With my fingers.
It's messy.
It gets very messy, but I just wipe my fingers on I wipe them on my shirt.
Yeah, okay.
I don't have a laundry machine either.
A good way to wipe your fingers if they're greasy or messy or whatever on a clothing item and not worry about people seeing it. Use your socks.
Hey, yeah, I use my socks for other things.
Oh dear.
Because I'm very lonely.
Anyways, Ilya gets the win here. Torpedo. So Vaughn rolls out of the ring and Stone says, we're done. And so Vaughn teleports out and the Dijak's music hits. So Ilya looks up the ramp waiting for Dijak, but he's like, he's not coming up the ramp. He's going to try to sneak attack me from behind. So he smiles, turns around. His Dijak's getting up on the apron. Steve will do his Ilya impression. Yeah. Yep. Just Ilya just looking like completely and totally engorged.
Just
full body.
Freaking full body erection this guy has.
Yep.
Constantly throbbing.
So Dijak gets in the ring and says, I hear pain makes you feel, huh? That's great.
Yeah, that's right.
Or pain makes you feel alive, huh? That's great. Because I'm going to make you immortal.
That's right. I'm going to make you immortal. Like a Highlander. Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
Cut your head off, though. Yeah, man. Just put a giant sock on Ilya.
Yeah.
That guy is just a walking an erection.
Yeah.
After that, Hank Walker walks up to Frank Ledger. Hey, now that I got like an NXT contract, can you help me do my taxes? And Frank says, I wasn't supposed to debut for a couple more weeks, but this isn't my first run-in with Gallus. Everywhere Joe Coffey's been, he's been a player, a top guy. That means tonight I get to show the world what I'm all about. And let's be frank, I'm going to make these numbers add up.
There you go. There we go. So then we got that match next. Joe Coffey, Frank Ledger. Really good showing, as mentioned, for Frank Ledger for his debut.
Absolutely.
And as mentioned early on, especially Joe was bumping all over the place. Eventually, Joe escapes an Alabama slam, and then he just punches Frank Ledger right out of the ring.
Yeah, it was a good right hand. That was awesome.
That was pretty great. And on the floor, he does that running diving headbutt, which sends Frank into the ring steps. He puts him in the ring, hits discus clothesline. Frank Ledger pulls himself up using the ropes to get back to his feet. So Joe hits him another one to get the win. And then the Creeds come to the ring. They have a stare down with Gallus, but then Grizzled Young Veterans do as well. And there's a huge brawl that just breaks out.
After that, we got Tony D and Stacks. They're backstage. Our plan to take out Pretty Deadly was good stuff. And then Roxanne walks by, and they're all friendly now. So he's like, hey, Roxanne, how you doing? She says, I'm doing good. I need a little break after standing and delivering. Now I'm back and ready to get my title back. After the stuff Zoe had to say about me, I'm happy Indy and Karma got my back. And then Tony says, hey, if you ever need some backup. And then Zoe Stark walks in, steps in. And then Perez is like, and she's like talking shit. She's like, oh, you're back, but you're crap. And then she's like, you're an example of why people aren't honest about their anxiety. And but you know what? I got the strength to beat you next week. And meanwhile, Tony D and Stack's like, look at this. And then Roxanne leaves. And then like what's his face? Lorenzo's like gonna talk to Zoe. He's like, hey Zoe, let me ask you a question. But then Pretty Deadly, I'm like, what was he gonna ask her? They come in and they attack. And then they just beat the shit out of those guys.
Yeah, and they shred up Stack's jacket, the one that Tony gave him.
Yeah. Ooh.
Like a box cutter to it.
It's got a tattoo on it or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
and then we got our main event: Grayson Waller versus Duke Hudson versus Dragon Lee versus JD McDonough. Really fun bout. JD and Grayson, especially early on, were really isolating Duke because he's the largest dude in the match.
Yeah.
He was trying to carry all of Chase U on his large back.
Back.
Eventually, though, Duke goes on a run. Hits a bunch of like electric chair drops, but then McDonough reverses one of those into a poison Rana. Later on, Duke's looking for a razor's edge on Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee reverses that to a Hurricane Rana, follows the German suplex on JD, hits a powerbomb on Duke. But as soon as he hits the powerbomb and starts to stand up, Waller's in, hits Lee with his rolling stunner. So Dragon Lee tumbles out of the ring, and then Waller covers Duke to get the win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then Carmelo meets Waller on the ramp while his music plays. Boom, 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 boom. And then they start talking some crap, and Melo holds up the title.
Okay, so what was the deal with the shoe?
That's a shoey. That's what commentary called it. I think you pour a beverage into a shoe and then you drink it out of your shoe. Okay, all right. Because like I'm guessing it wasn't a beer or something that Waller had in it because this is like after TV 14. So I could be wrong. They've had beer in the bar. No, I know. I'm just
gals. They had I sort of stopped paying. The finish of the match happened. I saw the finish of the match, and then I was making a breakfast sandwich or something. And then like next thing I see is Grayson Waller drinking out of like a shoe.
Yeah.
Like first thing I thought was, did he just take that? Did he wear that the whole time? And then he took that off?
Yeah.
It wasn't the shoe that he was wearing in the match, right?
Well, I didn't notice, but it could be. Sweaty shoe.
That's disgusting. Okay, so DeRhino says in college they call it shooting the boot. Okay. It was. Okay. Hey, that's cool, man. Whatever.
Shoey.
Whatever. Okay. Right on.
Anyways. Yeah.
Oh, that's nasty. That's nasty. And then so Melo like holds up the title and Grayson holds up the shoe.
Yeah.
Eesh. Anyways.
You want to answer some questions or what? Huh?
Yeah, no, I was going to mention we got some super chats here.
Yeah, we do.
We do questions. Christian Lopez earlier on said, "Oh man." Big MGM says Braun, a former Chase U alumni, confirmed. Maybe.
Oh, maybe he feels like he didn't get the education he paid for.
This is a scam university.
Yeah, the bone to pick could be. Kyle Sturman says, now that the draft is months away from SummerSlam, do you think we'll have Survivor Series? Do you think we'll have a traditional Survivor Series again, or are we ever going to have one like 2019 again? The one that made 2019 so exciting is that NXT in it.
Yeah, true.
It definitely felt like their opportunity to establish themselves as being on par with Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, that's
what really separated that.
Yeah, but no, I think that having it after WrestleMania, that gives a good Survivor Series is in November, so 6 months or so to establish a brand. I think that works.
It makes more sense. Before we get to the questions, if you're watching here on YouTube live, VOD, starting it late, you could give us a thumbs up, please.
Give us that thumbs.
Triple H really likes it when we got 200 likes.
Yeah, we're calling him in here in just a second. Hopefully it's actually him. A
much better mood.
Hopefully it's him that responds to the Zoom call today, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know what's going to happen. I'm sorry. So I also want to mention this. We get our question threads. We put them out there for our YouTube channel members and for our patrons at $5 and up. Later on today, we've got Overrun. I was thinking maybe we could do a draft thing.
Okay, that's fun.
To like drafts. I know we already had like an AEW draft on our channel, so maybe we could do like a WWE draft.
That's fun. Okay.
And then you get access to the bonus shows. You get access to the question threads, and then also we've got our Big Red Predictions Challenge. I know it's still 2 weeks out, but May is coming up pretty quickly, And we've got a lot going on for predictions in May.
We do.
Early in May at Backlash, we have a point advantage round with Backlash. And then later on, you can take the point or points you make in that prediction challenge later on in the month with Night of Champions and, of course, AEW's Double or Nothing. So, chance to become the new Big Red Champion.
NXT Battleground, too. I love these huge weekends of just a bunch of predictions going down. It makes it exciting.
Boom, 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 boom. Real JT says, what do you guys think a potential CM Punk versus Jericho feud would look like? Jericho is smart enough, I think, if they actually got on the same page to sports entertainment up the idea of the worked shoot thing. I think it could be fun.
It could be. Yeah, something like that. Sebastian Garcia here asks, is Jericho justified in his very public dislike for CM Punk, especially if Kenny just wants to move on? Now, I don't know if there's other issues between Jericho and Punk beyond the brawl out stuff.
Feels like there was, though.
Feels like there could be. And I don't know what those are. That's between Jericho and CM Punk. I'm sure Jericho has his reasons for disliking him. He's not alone in seemingly having an issue with CM Punk.
And is it just me? And I don't know the guy. I've just read a lot of interviews. I read some of his books. Jericho seems like the kind of guy who would not be down with doing a brand split to keep people who don't like each other away from each other. That sounds like a terrible idea.
It does sound like a terrible idea.
Fuzzy says, have you guys been watching any of the Ring of Honor or MLW weekly shows? No, I have not.
No, I don't have enough time, unfortunately.
I've tried to watch some MLW. I can't really, it's not the kind of thing that's so, I like it. It's fine. It's not so compelling that I'm like, oh, I need to watch this again. I like some of the talent they have, though. Ring of Honor is just, as much as I'd love to see who's over there that I like, Eddie Kingston and Athena are the two main names that I really like over there. I don't have the time for it.
Kazarn here says, would it be a good idea to draft LA Knight to Raw, have him face and beat Theory for the title, or is it better to keep LA as a heel? Just let LA Knight be LA Knight.
Yeah.
Just let him be him. He knows his character. Let him be him.
Yeah, I kind of feel like there's an element of but we'll know that he's going to be a face if he just stops running down the crowd. I like when he runs down the crowd. It makes me laugh.
Me too.
The Blind Mask says, could Shinsuke be being set up as Gunther or Reigns' next opponent with all the hype for his return? It's a possibility. That's going to happen tonight. So
yeah, I mean, it would make sense. I know Roman needs fresh matchups for the rest of the year, assuming he's going to hold the title till Mania 40.
Right.
And get into a feud with Nakamura, I guess would be pretty cool. Put up some good matches, hopefully.
Agree. Yeah.
Let's see here. High Plains Drifter asks, how's Enforcer doing? Don't need details, just hope all is well. Enforcer actually put a video up on his YouTube channel today, providing an update for everybody on how he's doing. I tweeted it out earlier.
We'll put it up on our YouTube, our 2 YouTube channels.
Yeah.
On the community tab.
Well.
Yeah. So you can get the info directly. I think it's like an 18-minute video or something.
Yeah.
So you can get the scoop directly from the Enforcer. Ted says, if Heyman was to leave Roman, where do you think he would go? He says, I'd love to see him with Imperium. I don't know if I see that as a fit, to be honest with you.
No, I feel like there was that spell where they tried putting Heyman with Ryback and Curtis Axel, Cesaro, and it just never really.
If it's not the biggest person, it doesn't work.
It needs that, and he needs to have chemistry with that person.
Yeah, that's a good point.
He had chemistry with CM Punk. He has chemistry with Brock, and he has chemistry with Roman. I don't think you can just put somebody with Heyman and expect that person to be elevated just because they're with Heyman.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Because in the past we've seen it not work. So
have him go with Charlotte.
All right.
Juan Villa says, does Drew fit in with the Blackpool Combat Club? Do they need another member? I don't know if Drew fits in with the Blackpool Combat Club. He's like a Highlander guy.
No.
I feel like Sheamus would fit in more, but
Yeah. Who would fit in the best would be Pete Dunne.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Michael Forbes says if Night of Champions is in Saudi Arabia, what does that mean for the tag team titles with Sammy and Kevin Owens not going to the Saudi show? It means that the tag titles won't be defended there.
Mm-hmm.
So it won't really be a Night of Champions.
Or they'll lose the titles before that.
And that's a possibility as well.
Luis here asks, what would the idea of Raw and SmackDown each getting 2 picks and the final pick of the round is determined by brand versus brand match? We kind of talked about, so we did a count out yesterday that's going to go up tomorrow about draft stuff.
Yeah.
And was it in that thing that we talked about, that show that we talked about how the draft would be laid out? I think so. We had that conversation yesterday at some point where, historically speaking, for each round, Raw would get 3 picks and then SmackDown would get 2 because 3 hours of Raw, 2 hours of SmackDown, and how that would work out, especially with SmackDown likely getting the first pick and drafting Roman.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if they do like a snake style draft where it'd be SmackDown, Raw, Raw, SmackDown, Raw.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I don't know how they're going to handle it. Remains to be seen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. Mayor Plant Houston says, what's next for Von Wagner now? We sort of mentioned that with him being able to keep one of his hamburger buns.
Yeah. That pleased him.
Yeah.
Daniel Lodato asked, are the EVP titles pointless? Seems like Tony Khan doesn't listen to what the Elite and other senior roster members, Jericho Mox, have to say. If you're going to make a whole show that's the CM Punk show without the EVPs involved, has Tony Khan completely lost the plot? So, I mean, I think Tony Khan does listen to Jericho and does listen to Mox. That's why they got those new deals that had roles outside of wrestler included in it. I don't know exactly what kind of input the Young Bucks and Kenny have necessarily, but at least it could all be kayfabed. On All Access, Ty Mello pitches stuff to the Young Bucks, and they say, all right, we'll talk to Tony about it. So it's possible they have. I feel like based on the difference in approach and the level of detail, that the Elite have a lot of say in their stories.
Yeah.
Because the level of detail and subtlety and nuance that they have in their stories, as opposed to basically everything else going on in AEW, is so drastic.
Yeah, right.
That it feels like they're very on board, very hands-on with that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, no, I think it's a good answer. Let's see here.
Alex Foster asked, do you think it's a good idea to keep Tease in tension and chase you? I appreciate the different dynamic, but at the same time, I worry it could get kind of tiresome. It hasn't yet. I think the tension and chase you has done wonders to help Duke Hudson especially.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this story, Chase U was already super over. I feel like this story is like getting them over even more.
I think that, and they're advancing it. You know, the MVP ceremony, him choosing the trophy over the flag. I think they're advancing it, you know. Let's see here. Edward Munoz says there's a lot of people that firmly believe CM Punk is a must-have for AEW, controversy notwithstanding. So my question is, right or wrong, is having... he says right or wrong, but then he calls him a troublemaker. Is having a troublemaker around worth it in the name of good business? For example, Randy Orton probably should have been fired like 5 times over the years. Fans of Punk seem to think who cares if he was a jerk? He's money. I think fans of Punk don't think he was a jerk.
Some of them don't. Some of them think he was totally justified in I think everything that he did.
Yeah. I get that a lot.
You know, I think there's a lot of people arguing about, well, who started it? Was it Hangman? Was it Punk? Even outside of all that, just by itself, and yeah, you could say, well, none of it would have, like the brawl out, the media scrum wouldn't have happened as it did if not for the inciting incident with Paige, whatever. Just based on the media scrum alone, I would not want him back.
Yeah.
Because based on what he said there, apparently he thinks so little of this place that he works at.
Yeah.
And is not afraid to publicly bash the place he works at and the person who is writing his check. And I think that alone would sour me on bringing him back.
Yeah. I'll put it this way. if it was me in that, if I quantum leaped into Tony Khan, right? If Punk like never gave some sort of explanation to me privately, like, look, man, I was exhausted. I was frustrated with everything that had gone down. There was no good communication there, but I shouldn't have acted that way. If there was some amount of like, hey, I probably shouldn't have handled it that way from him, then I'd be like, okay, fair enough. Like, we're all human, we all make mistakes. But if the idea was he did it, was unapologetic, then I'd probably be in that boat. I'd be like, man, I can't trust that you're not going to do this again if you're cool with it.
I know.
But I can assume that he reached out to Tony Khan and maybe all parties were like, yeah, we let that get to a point that, it shouldn't have got. And everybody's got a little bit to blame. And if everybody accepted that, including Punk, then it's like, okay, cool. Let's all move on then. And let's see if we can find a way to make this work. But like, it just seems like nobody's on the same page. Yeah. And this idea of let's, this new show we've got going on, Punk, it's going to be your show.
Part of me wonders if maybe those conversations were had at some point, and maybe not exactly everything's settled, but an understanding of like, okay, we at least everybody's aware of what led to it.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And not that there was necessarily apologies. That's what I'm talking about. And maybe even Punk said to Tony Khan, hey, these are the circumstances that led to me doing this. I shouldn't have done it. And then one of Punk's, like the outburst he had at Instagram happens.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's a situation where it's like, okay, something happens that irritates him, that pisses him off.
Mm-hmm.
And he can't help but to lash out because of it,
Yeah.
It's the same kind of behavior to a degree that led to the media scrum thing in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's like at a certain point, you're like, okay, you did this happened and you accepted responsibility for it, but are we going to learn from that or not?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And in that sense, if this keeps happening, how can I trust you in putting you out in the public forum when you could be doing this again?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And potentially embarrassing the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Anyways, so let's see here. Next up, we've got. Hopefully, this is gonna. I hope this is gonna work, man.
Sure. Yeah. I hope so, because otherwise, click. I ain't talking to Vince.
You're not gonna talk to Vince anymore?
Nope.
All right. Well, let's see. Let's go ahead and let's bring in Triple H for a SmackDown preview. Here we go. Big call. Hello, this is the game, Triple H. As you can see, don't interrupt. I have to explain something here. I still have the Vince wig on because even though that like my dad, Vince can't be here, he makes me wear the Vince wig because he's like, you gotta make sure that people know that I'm here in some way, shape, or form. So he's gonna have me wear this stupid wig, and I feel demoralized. The game's not happy. Might be game over.
Okay, that's a bummer to hear there, Triple H.
You don't sound too upset about it. You don't sound too tore up. I thought we had a good rapport, and you don't.
I mean, I don't know what else. It's a bummer. I'm sorry to hear that.
It's more than a bummer. It's a tragedy. Say it's a tragedy.
Well, I don't know if I go so far. It's not a tragedy.
It's a tragedy. Just say the words. It's a tragedy.
I'm not. No. Why are you trying to put words in my mouth?
Come on. It's big SmackDown tonight.
Okay, let's talk about SmackDown. That's something we can't talk about.
Shinsuke Nakamura's coming back tonight.
Oh, very exciting.
That's right. This is going to be fun. This is going to be good. I like Shinsuke Nakamura. I'm going to make sure that he's treated right this time.
That's good to hear.
But then
good to hear.
He showed up earlier today backstage because, we're already getting the show prepped and everything. He was like, you look like an idiot in that wig. It's a tragedy.
Can I interrupt this for a second here? This SmackDown preview, because we got a question from Bear Winning here in chat.
Like an ad break or something? What are you doing?
No.
Don't interrupt. Don't interrupt.
How do you feel about AEW maybe doing a brand split to accommodate CM Punk? Your old friend CM Punk.
That place is a bigger joke than this place, but I guess Tony Khan's dad doesn't make him wear a stupid wig. It's not a tragedy. This is a tragedy.
Not quite a tragedy. It looks like Xavier Woods is going to be taking on LA Knight.
Yeah, Dad's making me have LA Knight lose. He doesn't like him. He's on the verge of calling him Max Dupree.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you got that right. Another tragedy. That's a tragedy, too.
Well,
Would that be a tragedy?
Too.
Well, I find it interesting that people don't think, and when I say people, I mean you specifically. There's not some middle ground between bummer and tragedy. Like, it's a bummer if you stub your toe. It's a tragedy if my dad makes me wear a wig on my head. But, like, you won't even, like, go, like, a little further than a bummer.
It's a serious bummer.
Oh, it's a serious bummer. Okay.
Serious bummer.
That makes it a little bit better.
There you go. Serious bummer. You have to wear that wig. I'm sorry to hear that.
All right. So next up, we've got Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez in a special championship celebration. This will be a lot of fun. Don't interrupt. We're gonna have balloons.
Oh,
we're gonna have all sorts of great stuff.
Any of those?
Hold on, wait a second. I got
party poppers.
I got another call coming.
No.
Oh man, what's going on? Jim Ross impersonator Dick Slavitt here one more time.
And call.
Larson, what are you doing?
And call.
Oh, that's me again. What are you doing? Yeah, sorry. I got my Zoom calls mixed up here.
Yeah, you did.
I did. Hold on, wait. I'm gonna get this back.
Oh
man, what is going on?
I don't want to go on the weekend. Nope, like this. Nope.
You got a hot weekend coming up here.
I'm not going to talk to you about anything I'm doing this weekend.
You gonna do some fun stuff in the bedroom? I cut them off, man. I had people coming in left and right.
I'll take care of my nose hairs.
I got people. I cut them off. I didn't know Dick Slavitt was going to come back, and then as soon as he started talking about what you're going to do on the weekend, I cut him off.
Thank you.
So I got your back. Okay.
I appreciate that.
I was watching though, and I feel like you went a little. You weren't really sympathizing. We need to work on our empathizing and sympathizing with people, our people skills, Larson, because the Triple H thing, he seemed really sad about the wig.
Well, I said it's a serious bummer. I'm sorry.
Well, at first you were just like, that's a bummer. Like a bummer, it's like more like when, I don't know, you stub your toe, but like, oh, that's a shame, perhaps. Like that's a shame. Right.
But you could agree with me. Tragedy, no.
Well, everybody's definition of tragedy is a little
okay. By my definition of tragedy, no.
Tragedy. It's a good song.
Oh, yes. Bee Gees.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
What a great song.
All right. Well, that's going to do it for the show today. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. We appreciate it. Till next time, we'll talk to you later.
Goodbye.